Thank you so much for being with us today on That Is It. That's all. That's it. That's all. Because you know what? That is it. And that is all. This is Composy. And with us today, I finally have my co host by the name of Mrs. Lasagna Peisker of Peisker Enterprises, San Diego, California. Sony, you want to tell them something?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening in. And we just thank you for being a part of our community of listeners and being here to discuss all the various facets of what's going on in the world today, what's going on in pop culture, politics, you name it. We're going to talk about it. And we're just glad that you're here to join us. Thank you again.
All right. So, with all that said, we're going to get into one of our very favorite topics, and that is The View. I kind of just wanted to keep that topic going for a little while as we're developing our channel. We just want to kind of stick to a few different things and keep that going as we continue to build, as Sony said, our community. So, The View today, April 11th. Hopefully, you all got to watch it. I did watch it. Unfortunately, I hate to sound like a broken record on this one. The show really was not all that exciting. The best part of the show was the hot topics, yet once again, when they were talking about Julian Assange being arrested. That table got a little heated. Do we agree, Sony?
We agree.
All right. I should say so. So Julian Assange arrested. Now, you know, I have a lot of young people that I surround myself with, and I have to say one thing about the younger millennials and the generation after the millennials, whatever they're called. These kids are very curious about the world that they live in and about the people that are giving them information. They will listen and ascribe to conspiracy theory at the drop of a hat. And I mean young, 20, 22, 18, 19, and even younger. The best part about it is because they are so curious, they are willing to listen to everything that's being said. Unfortunately, they're being fed a lot of the wrong information. And I said all that to say this. There's a lot of people out there that don't even think Julian Assange deserved to be arrested.
That is true. That is true. In fact, I think that's what probably catapulted the whole conversation that got Sonny kind of put in a pit. So yeah, I
she
think
got put in
so.
a pit, all right. Yeah, I should say so. I should say so.
Yeah.
And of course, the two conservatives at the table automatically started and went in at the topic, approaching it from that whole, oh, well, you know, really this is Obama's fault that it took this long because he and Eric Holder had an opportunity, and as Abby stated, they punted in their final year in office to have him arrested.
Right. And I guess Abby wanted to make the point of, you know, they did everything that they could within their power to let him go without accepting responsibility, which obviously was not the case. And clearly, when Sonny tried to tell them what occurred in terms of the issue was brought to justice and that it was deemed that it fell under the Second Amendment, freedom of speech. Now,
First Amendment.
Yeah. I'm sorry, First Amendment. I'm thinking of the gun laws. First Amendment, freedom of speech. But the thing that was interesting to me with this whole thing was that there was this dual attack on Sonny. And of course, when Miss Meghan threw it out and said it was a bunch of propaganda, I kind of pulled back and was like, she didn't go there.
Yes, she did.
Because here's
She really
the deal. We have to keep in mind that Sonny is a political analyst. So Sonny's going to do one or the other. She's going to give you what the law speaks, how the law speaks to any given topic, and or she's going to give you how the law played out in court on any particular topic.
Right.
And so in this case, she was simply saying how it played out. Right. Sonny didn't say whether it was right or wrong. Sonny
didn't.
No, she never did give a personal opinion. All she did was say how it played out in the courts. Now, the way that Abby and Meghan attacked her, you would have thought that she had said something personal. You would have thought that you would have even thought that she said her and the man were friends. You would have thought something more on the personal side. But what she really was just doing was giving how it played out in the courts. And I just thought that it was very interesting to see how they kind of had a ping pong match going where they were bouncing back and forth, giving their very strong opinions as to how they felt about what Sonny shared. And I just thought it was a little on the personal side. So I'm still kind of fuzzy on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely tried to go gang on her. Sure, they definitely ganged up on her and went in. And out of the gate, first of all, before Sonny could even finish giving her opinion and her side, which Meghan had ample time to do. The only thing that she was using her time to do was to try to go in on the Obama administration. And I was very happy to see Whoopi play moderator at that table today and stop her and say, okay, but what are we going to do about it? We're not talking about when the Democrats thought it was important or even when the Republicans thought it was important. We're talking about what we're going to do about it at this moment that he's been arrested. Right. Sonny's trying to give her opinion, and before she can even get it all the way out, and let's be clear on this. Sonny is not just a political analyst, she's also a lawyer. She's qualified to really speak from this on both sides of it. Right. And maybe that's what some of the issue is at that table. I know that Meghan McCain, over the last several months, has been calling herself a political analyst. Right. And that's been her whole thing. She's a political analyst, she's a political analyst, she's a political analyst. And that's fine. If that's what, your title is and that's what you're going by, I've got nothing against that. What Sonny was talking about, as you just stated, Sonny, was altogether different. It was not about, she really wasn't even talking about the politics of the matter. She was talking about how the Obama administration and Eric Holder really felt that this fell under the precedence and under the jurisdiction of the First Amendment. And I also just want to say this, that nobody at that table brought up, and I think it's quite important to bring up, because Abby said that they punted in the final year. Let us understand that was what was going on in the final year of the Obama administration. That would have also have been the time that he was trying to get together with the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, in a bipartisan fashion and announce that Russia was actively trying to start to interfere with our election. It didn't just start in 2016 when everything started kicking off, or in 2015. It had started way before that. The Russians had started their misinformation campaign. This has been going on for a very long time. Now, how would that have looked for Obama in his final years when all this stuff was going on? And at that point, this had nothing to do with the Hillary Clinton, John Podesta. This man, the Obama administration, everything that they did from both sides was under lock and key. It was very circumspect. There's a lot of things politically that they had to do that, as someone who voted for Obama and was a very strong Obama supporter, that I didn't agree with. So I felt that was another one of those times that Abby and Meghan were just kind of being disingenuous. By the way, Abby, or to whomever is listening, hopefully her people are listening, hopefully she listens to these things. It's never a bad thing to get notes and to hear constructive criticism from the people that are watching you, because it is the people watching you that keeps everybody moving forward. If the moderator has to use physical touch to get you to calm down and let someone talk, that may be a key and a clue into you're doing a little bit too much emotionally. I said it in the last video where we talked about The View. I don't know if this has to do with pregnancy and hormones and all those things that go on during that time. I'm not a mother. But if that be the case, when the moderator has to use physical touch, you might have gone a little too far.
I believe so. And again, notwithstanding the fact that it could simply be the emotion she's under now, because I personally haven't seen her as emotional as she has been here lately. But she has been getting a little heated under the collar, just a little. In fact, I believe it was yesterday when Whoopi had asked her to let Sonny finish, and she gave Sonny a window of time, and then she jumped in again. So yeah, she just wasn't able to contain herself, and I've never seen her quite like that. So it may be that, but nevertheless, as long as you're still employed, while you're pregnant, there's still guidelines that have to be followed. So it would be nice if she would consider the fact that other people are still there to give their view as well, and that everyone should get an opportunity to speak. I feel like Sonny was shut down before she could finish saying what it was she had to say, even when she was given the floor the second time. So They weren't trying to hear what she was having to say. And that just shouldn't be, because it just appears to be times where certain people, and I know Megan's really big on this, when she wants to say something, when I finish, let me finish. She wants to always finish her
Excuse
thought.
me, I'm talking.
Yeah, I'm talking, but she
Yeah.
never wants to give anyone else that same courtesy. So you have to
Never.
give people the same courtesy that you want.
Well, and it's something that I have noticed about a lot of the conservative panelists that have been on the show over the years. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Meghan is certainly one, and Abby is a little bit like that. Not as bad as Meghan, but she's somewhat like that. They just simply will not hear the argument. Once they've made their point, like that's the end of it. Like there is no other argument to be made. And circling back around to your earlier point, Sony, about Meghan calling Sonny's statement about the reasons that the Obama administration felt that Assange was protected under First Amendment, to call that, talking about, well, first of all, I just want to be very clear on this. I find that whole statement just to be propaganda. Again, this is very disrespectful, completely disrespectful to say to someone. This is completely disrespectful to say to someone. Propaganda. Everything she said in her statement was propaganda. What makes what she said any more propagandized than what you were saying? The only thing that you talked about during this, you didn't talk anything about Julian Assange's arrest outside of trying to do this little sympathy thing with Abby when she took and pointed at her when she was talking about, and our diplomats were under fire and this and that and the other.
Right.
All that was during the Obama administration. So you mean to tell me that during the Obama administration in 2010, as Abby so eloquently pointed out, that's when this guy kind of first got on the map? You mean to tell me all these Republicans saw all this stuff going and nobody said nothing?
Another thought occurred to me, and I'm wondering and thinking, trying to think back to myself. This is the first time that I can recall so much pointing back to former administration, to the former regime, as it were. This is the first time that I've seen and heard that so much since President Obama was in office. There is always a predecessor, and there's always a predecessor doing something that his successor will or won't do. But I've never seen so much pointing back. And it appears that at this particular table and in this forum, that anytime something is done to the distaste of the conservatives, they want to point back to the former regime. I wonder, why is that?
Well, and I let me just go ahead and jump in here and say this right now, because before the comment section even get going with it. Well, what about President Bush? The Obama and all the Democrats, all they did was blame President Bush. All they did was talk about President Bush. Okay, there's a difference in discussing what someone actually did and what they did not do, and how you have a disagreement with what they did not do. Arguing facts is different than arguing the absence thereof. What you guys are talking about, why didn't he prosecute Julian Assange? And why didn't he do this? And why didn't he do that? What Democrats were talking about when Obama came into office is what President Bush had done. He had destroyed the economy. We were in a bunch of senseless wars. That was things that was very much going on, and we were dealing with the fallout thereof. That's different from talking about what somebody did not do. As you just mentioned, Sony, there's always going to be a predecessor to the job, unless you're the first person that created it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be something that the other person did or did not do.
There's always an accusatory tone, is what it is.
Yeah.
There's always an accusatory tone. And at this juncture, it's moot.
Yep.
It's moot. Whether it be true or false, it's moot. And so I believe, my personal assessment of it is that it's always something to try to get under the skin of the other person, in this case, the Democrats at the table.
Right.
And so much so that the only time that Meghan and Abby can come into agreement is when they're doing such. Because any other time, they're at each other's throat just as well. But when they can come together on the other three, they are at their best.
They are. They really are. And I'm not really one who subscribes to conspiracy theories and things like that. But now I find it very interesting that we have an election cycle, that we basically are in the next election cycle, and Julian Assange has been arrested. I find that interesting.
That is interesting,
We
actually.
don't know, because here's the thing about a traitor. And to me, Julian Assange is a traitor because it's not the releasing of the information that I have a problem with. It's the fact that you went and were willingly working with a foreign adversary. Now, contrary to what a lot of these Republicans would have you believe, Russia has never been our friend. They never
No,
have.
no.
They never have. Now, I know that Putin and Trump have a little bromance, as they call it, going, or whatever else the case is. Perhaps this will turn the tide, and we will all just be coming up roses with our love relationship between United States and Russia. But as a historical factor, Russia has been one of our greatest adversaries as far as our open hostility to a country.
Right.
We have hostile relations with a lot of other countries, but with Russia, it's always been very openly hostile. And
Right.
I find it, so my point in saying all that is to say this. At the end of the day, Julian Assange does not seem to have any loyalty. Definitely not to us. Maybe
Oh,
he
no.
does. Maybe he does have loyalty to Putin. But we're about to be in an election year, and this guy just got arrested in the middle of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Something to
Yeah,
think about.
yeah, something to chew on. So talk amongst yourselves on that. Anyway, I think that was pretty much all that we had to say about today's show. It really wasn't that interesting. They had the sharks on there. Let me not disrespect the sharks. We don't want
I
to
am a shark
disrespect
lover.
right. We
I
don't want
am a
to
shark.
don't disrespect the sharks. But they're always fascinating. So that to me is not anything I'm gonna tune into the View to see. They all have their own platforms, and we can hear their advice uh, almost anytime. Especially Barbara, who is one of my favorite sharks. She just got that little thing I just love. But thanks for hanging out with us and listening to us today. We look forward to being back with you tomorrow to discuss everything that'll be going on in the news. Hopefully, something juicy, a little for us to chew on. Sonia, did you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts for the day. Just stay tuned. There's a lot going on right now. And again, there are a lot of more topics we want to discuss. We're going to get into global warming and some of the other bigger topics that are going on around the world right
Mm-hmm.
now. But for right now, we're just kind of zoning in on the ladies and the dynamics of the table, and particularly with the fact that we know that Abby will be moving on as she has her two beautiful children, and we'll see who comes and takes her place, temporarily, permanent, whatever the case may be.
And hopefully
And I'm sure the
Megan's.
dynamics will change at some level, and we'll definitely be there to delve into that as well. So until then, we thank you for listening, and hey, we hope you're having a good day.
All right. That's it. That's all.